So no matter what business you're in, there is a place within your business for personality. And the cool thing about it is it can, like I said, be applied to almost every aspect. So if you think of change management, conflict resolution, your sales process, your actual team dynamics, getting the folks on your team into the right seats on the bus. So it can be used during the hiring process. But then once you have your team actually in place, making sure that you're really leveraging the strengths of all the team.
Hey, you're listening to the Luminary Leadership Podcast, and I'm your host, Liz. This is the space where we equip overwhelmed entrepreneurs to become the confident, visionary leader their business, team, family, legacy need to win. After working with countless entrepreneurs over the last decade plus, I've noticed this theme. No matter the level of success they achieved, and I've worked with some incredibly successful business owners, they get to this point where they're asking, now what? What am I being called to next? What does next look like? How do I get there? If you're listening to this, you get it. You're craving more impact, and you want to feel less frantic and in the weeds of your day-to-day roles, and instead lead with that vision and that peace and that intention and that clarity. You want to wake up each morning with that clarity and vision and the time and the margin to do what you love in your business and in your life with your family. This show is where industry leaders come to grow into their next level of achievement and purpose and impact and legacy, success in business, and true legacy at home. Get ready, because we both know you don't just need another strategy. It is time for your breakthrough. I am so excited to have you on the podcast, Katie, because a lot of people don't know what's been going on behind the scenes at Luminary Leadership Company. And you are one of those big things coming onto our team and bringing this element that I never honestly even considered to be such a powerhouse for both how we operate as a team and how we do business with other people and how we're serving people and how we're lending to more transformation with a lot of our clients trying to scale their business. And that's bringing in this personality element into our business. So I'm so pumped to pick your brain and allow our listeners to realize there is this whole world that's pretty untapped, at least from what I've seen with the clients I've worked with, that can be the gateway or like the key into next level of success. So welcome to the show, Katie.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Grateful to be a part of the team and working towards the mission. So excited to be talking about this piece of personality.
Having Katie join our team, I'll just embarrass her for a second, but having Katie join our team has been one of the most incredible things that's happened at Luminary Leadership Company. She's just not only been such an asset in the stuff that we're going to talk about today, which I'm really excited to dig deep into, but more so just your heart for what we do. And for every person that comes in, they're getting that spirit for service through you. So I'm super excited because today is an opportunity to highlight how amazing you are and to bring this concept to people who might not realize, like me, a year ago, oh my gosh, I'm butting my head up against these growth ceilings. Why is that? Well, today we're here to tell them about really leveraging the power of personality in their business, both for themselves, maybe for team if they have team, and especially for the people they're trying to sell to and serve and clients in their repertoire. So anyway, I want to know, for the sake of our listeners, what led you into this work around really digging into personality types and how they can be used for such good in business?
Yes. So a little bit of an interesting and winding kind of road to personality. So my background is in the brick and mortar space. So I own a couple of ice cream shops and helped with the expansion efforts of a brand in that space. So with that business comes high volume of team. So a lot of team members to keep the business going and a lot of teenagers. So not necessarily exposed to kind of professional development in the past. So I had started using and playing around with personality style models within the business, found one that I really loved and used that to help teams firsthand. So I saw that, work with them, and I had the opportunity to come on board with a training company to help spread the word with personality to corporate teams. So really talking about how can it be applied from a team perspective, a leadership perspective, sales, conflict management. There's just so many tangible ways that you can use this within your business. So that's my background. I have been training in personality, using personality within my own business for 8 years now. So I love it. And then it's something that really has been untapped in the online space. So really seeing it being talked about more, seeing the power of it has been something really cool to see.
I agree, because we've seen it with a lot of our entrepreneurs in our masterminds since you've come in and you've done some of these personality assessments with them and then help them understand how to leverage them. And we'll touch on, why it's so instrumental for us as leaders to really understand our style, but it's also really critical to understand other people's styles so that we can cater to what they need to help them thrive. I mean, the big part of what we do at Luminary is really seeing that potential in someone and help them tap into it. But if you're not speaking their language, you could totally miss an opportunity to really help them get to where they want to go. And we saw this firsthand with our mastermind members, where I felt like I literally saw light bulbs just clicking on above their heads as you were going through your presentations of how they can leverage this concept of personality. This is not, let me just preface this by saying, this is not like go take a really standard personality test and then understand what makes you tick. And then you kind of think about that when you talk to other people. Katie goes into this from everything from like our sales copy and our emails go through the filter of Katie first now, where she will actually say, hey, you're not speaking to these 3 styles, or you're turning off these people, or you say you want to attract this type of person, but you're not speaking their language. Let's tweak the language to accommodate them, which we're going to have another podcast episode specifically on how to use this for sales. But first, I would love to get into the personality styles, because I think it's always the most exciting part for people learning about this, because you instantly qualify them and they're like, oh my gosh, does Katie stalk me? How does she know this about me? So can you just high level from an entrepreneurial perspective, because everybody listening in has their own business, talk about the different styles and let people's minds get blown a little bit as to how you already know them.
Definitely. So the model that I use is a variation of the DISC personality style model. So there are lots out there. And like you mentioned, one of the hot ones that people also very frequently talk about is like the Enneagram. So when you're kind of deciding which model you're going to go with, you really want to look at it from, it's great for folks to understand their own style and have that self-awareness. But you really look at this as, okay, now we're providing our team, our business with a shared vocabulary. So having a simple model that builds past that self-awareness factor is so important. So that's why I love the DISC model, a variation of that. We can specifically tell you what we use, but it just makes it simple that you can use that as a jumping board to really start to understand your team and quickly adapt your communication to your team and your clients. There's lots of other ones out there that may have like 16 different styles, which they're great from a self-awareness standpoint, but it makes it tough to really tangibly use that to talk to those 16 different styles. So with the DISC model, there's 4 distinct styles. And you will often see some trends of folks who are kind of in certain positions or attracted to certain positions. There's a tie there to our personality style. So if you look at the 4 styles, you have your extroverted styles. There's 2 of those who are your quick action takers. They really like to move quickly. They have big thoughts. So they are comfortable with risk. They're comfortable taking action quickly. And then within those 2, there is your more task-oriented style. So there is the quick action taker that is very focused on what are the goals? I want the freedom in my life. I want to set my schedule and I am going to just power through, set my goals and accomplish them. They don't procrastinate. They come to their desk for the day. They know exactly what their big 3 priorities are and they're just checking the boxes and getting them done. So that's the kind of dominant quick action taker that's more task focused. Then you have the extroverted style that's more people oriented. So you can think of these as your innovators. They are comfortable with taking risks. They're like, what's the worst that can happen? We are going to make sure it works. They are really concerned about the people in their lives. So that's the clients they serve, the team that they're working with. They are focused on the impact that they are making in the world. They want to make a positive impact, and they really want to build relationships, but they're doing it quickly. They are oftentimes thinking of lots of new ideas and then just trying to figure out what's going to be the best one to move forward with. And those two styles tend to be attracted to the visionary roles, the leaders. So we say any of the four styles can be a fantastic leader, but those styles will often seek out those leadership positions. Then we get to our more introverted styles. So introvert in the sense of they like to process information before they speak a thought out into the world. They really like to filter and consider it first. So they will move at a little bit more of a reserved pace. They want to make sure we have our ducks in a row, that we've considered all of the possible outcomes before moving forward. And from there, you also can break them down from the task-oriented versus the people-oriented. So your task-oriented, more introverted styles are very conscientious. They are your detailed, analytical folks. They want to know the why behind everything. So if you are making a change, presenting a change or a big decision, these are the folks on your team that are like, what's the who, what, when, where, why of it? Give me all the details, no stone unturned. Then you have your introverted but more people-oriented style. These are your supportive, your stable folks. They love serving, so they come to the table looking to support and serve others, looking for opportunities to help. These are the folks that if you have friends, family, coworkers who come to you to vent about their problems, you are someone who's an active listener. You likely are this supportive style, the more introverted but people-oriented, very focused that everyone on the team has what they need to get the job done, really focused on the impact on that one-on-one, more reserved style. So those are kind of the four categories. And we have a fun way to really bring those to life. If you're interested in the one that we use in our team, we're happy to share that. But that's just the basic understanding of the four styles.
We'll make sure we link to that because I know a lot of people like to go deeper. I'm sure everyone felt like they were seen at some portion of what you were talking about. I know for me, every time I hear you talk about, the visionaries, and it's so many of the people we work with, but then we get a lot of the people, and I fall into that category, right? But we often, and this has been so huge, we'll get the people who are the detail-oriented people, who are the ones that want to know everything before they take the next step. And for years, I felt a block in serving those people. And now I feel like we're able to really help them uncork their potential because we understand who we're talking to and how we can best serve them and how we can challenge them. Because I would imagine in each category, there's a healthy version of that personality. And there's a version of that personality that maybe we have some gaps that we can seek to fill. So we're not enabling people to fall into the comfort zone or the susceptibility to their weaknesses within that particular personality style. We're challenging them a little bit, which can be uncomfortable, to come into the healthy version of that personality style so that they can thrive. And what has been so fun for our team, we now use this all the time, right? So we use it for our current team members. We're in a hiring process right now. So we are using this in our hiring process to understand, hey, when someone's coming in through the doors of our company, how can we make sure that we're immediately putting them into a sweet spot? We're not putting them into a role or doing specific tasks that is going to feel like pulling teeth. We've seen that. We've done that. It's really painful. It slows things down. Sometimes when you're experiencing plateaus financially or frustrations in your team or turnover, it might be something as simple as making some tweaks where you have that person in your team or how you work with them. And what has been so fun is our four key players within our team, me, you, Mariana, and Michael, we're all four of the personality styles, which has been super, super enlightening and very, very powerful because now we know where each of us thrives. So when we're in the middle of a project, people know I'm not a closer, right? Like I'm not a finisher in a project. I will come up with 8 million ideas. I will galvanize the team around the ideas. I will try and inspire people. I will get started on the big picture stuff. I will cast vision. But when we're in the closing section of this project, if someone's like, all right, Liz, here's your list of small, menial tasks that you have to do to make sure that this thing's come to fruition, it will never get done. But we have people on our team that are excellent at that, excellent in the details. So we know at different points in certain projects, we're like, all right, Katie, it's time for you to take this, look at this, make sure we're speaking to people really in the right way. And we're really incorporating everybody. And we bring it to Michael when we want them to get into the weeds, and that person that's super analytical and can see, the next steps and the different pieces of the puzzle. So anyway, it's been really empowering to know this stuff and to bring it to the table for our team. So when you think about these personality styles, I would love for you just to give the listeners a sense of what are some of the tangible outcomes that can come from this? Because some people listening might be like, yeah, well, I don't have a team, so this doesn't really apply to me, or I have one person on the team. But it can apply in so many different categories of the business and categories that directly affect the bottom line and success and growth within the company or small business or whatever it might be.
So there are so many different ways that it can be applied. So no matter what business you're in, there is a place within your business for personality. And the cool thing about it is it can, like I said, be applied to almost every aspect. So if you think of change management, conflict resolution, your sales process, your actual team dynamics, getting the folks on your team into the right seats on the bus. So it can be used during the hiring process, but then once you have your team actually in place, making sure that you're really leveraging the strengths of all the team. One of the key things that you mentioned about our team is that we have all 4 personality styles. So oftentimes when we don't have the awareness of this concept, people can rub us the wrong way just because of a difference of personality style. So we could be kind of turned off by clients and not optimizing that relationship, or prospects during the sales process where we are kind of not optimizing who we're bringing on from clients, who we're selling to, who we are serving, just from a personality perspective. So we are like, oh, I don't ever want to work with that style just because it's so different. Then once you see the intent of that style, you see that your viewpoint can really help them. Different styles can really benefit one another when they're working together effectively and they have that understanding. So I would say from a service perspective, working with clients, super impactful, just so you know what your clients are coming to the table, what's their intent, what are their challenges. Because when we know personality style, we know what their stress response is, we know what their fears are, we know what people are motivated by. So we can use that understanding not at all in a manipulative way, but as a tool to really help them step into their fullest potential. So both with our clients and our team, and then just our general communication. So how are we speaking to people? Because there are certain small tweaks that you can make to just make sure you're giving the people around you what they need to really be stepping into action, getting the things done that need to be get done, but also seeing the results.
Absolutely. And if you had to say, okay, so there are plenty of people that are not aware of the power of this. Maybe they're going down a bunch of different avenues to try and scale their business or get their team to work better or to feel more confident as leader and all these things. And they're not realizing there's this one bucket over here that might be kind of untapped that could have a lot of power behind it. What are some of the challenges that you think business owners might be facing right now in their business that personality could help unlock, like meaning, more sales or like whatever the things are that you have personally seen through this work, that when they get access to it, these particular problems can be alleviated or transformed?
Sure. So there are a couple. So one, from a leadership perspective, is having the self-awareness of knowing what your own style is. So we tend to continuously run up to the same roadblocks, just positioned differently throughout life. So you're going to run into those in your personal life and in your professional life. So having that understanding, certain styles are prone to different issues with time management. So if you were to look at your more extroverted styles, they're moving very quickly. They can easily get distracted from those smaller details that just have to get done to keep moving projects forward. So just knowing what are your blind spots to either bring a team member, whether it's even a VA or a hire, in to help you with those areas, or for you just to have that strong understanding and see why you're having that roadblock. Because we can just beat ourselves up and get into this kind of repetition of we just don't understand why we keep running into the same problem. And a lot of times it is just our hardwired personality. Same with the tension maybe we may kind of come into with another team member. So turnover is something that can happen very frequently if we don't have this understanding and we're not communicating with our team effectively, or we're not giving them the tasks that really are in their sweet spot. So I would say turnover is a huge one. That if you've had recent turnover, or turnover is a frequent problem, oftentimes personality can be really impactful in that spot. And just building out the overall culture. So whether you have a team yet or you don't have a team yet, setting the foundation now of knowing who you want to attract, how you want to speak with them, how you want that culture to be developed, that's all going to be tied back to your natural personality style.
And can we talk about it from a profit angle? Like a big problem that we see for the people that apply to our masterminds or for our intensives or whatever it might be. One of those blocks is they're at some kind of financial plateau or hardship or frustration. Like they're trying all the things, every kind of marketing strategy, every kind of funnel strategy. Can you talk about how this can have an impact on the bottom line?
Sure. So there are quite a few things and kind of quite a few roadblocks each of the four styles can run into. So we can talk about that a little bit. So one thing is just our confidence. So your introverted styles, a lot of times they run into the issue of not having the confidence. So if you talk about your introverted, more people oriented, they need to take some time before they put their thoughts out into the world. So sometimes they're just not taking action within their business because they haven't built that confidence yet. So when you have that understanding of knowing that that's your natural predisposition, you can do things to help overcome that, whether it's having like a folder of all the positive feedback and testimonials you have received to come back to build through that confidence, or whether you're the more task oriented style, you're keeping the data and the logic. So these are the actual results I have helped people achieve. So I can come back to that when I'm unsure of what step I need to take. So you're more introverted, more people oriented. Like I said, they're going to need the boost of confidence. You're more introverted, more task oriented. It's all about analysis paralysis can be something that stops us from taking action. So when you have that understanding, you can really then come up with strategies to work around it. So you're not just continually sitting in this place of not knowing what to do next. Then when you get to your visionary, more extroverted styles, your dominant style, they tend to move quickly. So they can abort ship on a project that might have actually been really successful with a small tweak. So just knowing if that's a tendency for you, you then can have the strategies of like, we need to do X, Y, and Z before we change course of action. Or I need to bring someone else to show me the data so I can actually make informed decisions rather than just going kind of gut instinct of the results aren't happening fast enough. So we need to jump. And then for the more innovative, people oriented extroverted style, those are your really creative folks. So they are always thinking of new ideas. They're always attracted to like the new trend, what's happening. So that can impede our progress from a profitability standpoint because we are kind of having that shiny object syndrome. That's what we're prone to. So time management can also be a challenge there. So just when you know that about yourself, you really can laser in on where are my opportunities, both for yourself personally as a leader, but they tend to bleed into your business. So those habits that you have personally then can go into your culture and kind of how you're operating. So that will give you some really great starting points of where do I need to touch on based off of my own personality style from a leader to make sure that we are operating and using that personality to our advantage rather than it actually working against us and impeding our progress.
And we've seen this firsthand within the team. It's been such an alleviation of stress for me and just clarity of vision because this has helped me have that self-awareness, also know how to get our team members into that self-awareness so that they can see those blind spots and those opportunities. And like I said, we're going to do an additional episode on the sales angle because obviously that affects the bottom line. But from that angle, just one little teaser of that is it was so mind-blowing to me. I'm writing these emails, right? So like I'm writing copy for, let's say, sales emails. And what you've done, Katie, is you're like, hey, you've got these people that are the quick starts. They're the visionaries. They want to pull a trigger real fast. They're like, give me the details. I'll make a decision. And you're not getting to the point of that email until like 3/4 of the way down. So you're never even actually accessing those quick starts because they're not going to scroll that far down in the email. You've got to get to the point sooner if you want to speak to this personality type. And we've seen just the ripple effect of making those kind of changes that can be total, like you might have the best sales copy, but if it's not outlined in the proper order, if you're not making sure you're checking each box for each personality type, you might be missing a whole subset of people that could be consuming what you're putting out there, but they're not even getting to that point in the process. It's the same thing for something like a sales page or even a sales conversation, right? If you're on the phone with somebody and you're going through painting a picture and telling a story and giving case studies, and then that, eager person on the other line is like, when is she going to list the 5 bullets that tell me what this is and whether or not I should be doing it and like what the outcome's going to be? You might be missing them. So we're going to go into detail on that. Another really cool thing that we have coming is we have been seeing through this work that we're doing with Katie and as a team, how many people just want to know, hey, how are you using things like this? Like, pull back the curtain on the business, show us the back end, show us what you're doing, show us what your systems looks like, show us how you're training your team and things like this. So in our new program that's coming out soon, we're literally giving people a backstage pass into everything we're doing that's working. Like that sales conversation I'm talking about, where you're going to see how to leverage personality for sales and tweaking copy, is going to exist in there. If you're wondering, okay, well, how do I use the personality types within my team to get people into their sweet spot so we have better team morale and more energy behind the mission? Like when I say sometimes my team members are more passionate about the mission than me. And I think it's because everyone's just in their lane doing what they love. And we're all talking to each other in each other's language. All of that's going to exist in this Backstage Pass program. So if you want to be on the wait list for it, we are launching only to the waitlist for this first time. So you want to go to luminaryleadershipco.com/leader, and you can get on that waitlist so that you're just first to know when this comes out, because you're going to get all of this kind of information, but in way more detail in the steps, in the how to. But I'd like to come back to this idea of team for a second. So one thing that we've done within our mastermind program, because we've seen the power of this over the last round with you, Katie, is we've decided to open the door to our mastermind, not just for our visionaries, not just for the founders or the creators or the ones that are leading the business, but for their right-hand person too. So whether it's their business partner, their spouse, their VA, if they have a director of operations, if they have a project manager, whoever it might be that's just in the game with them. Because what we found is we serve these visionaries, we serve the leaders, oftentimes the ones that are more, the personality type that you described, that's a little bit like, let's go, let's just make it happen, we'll figure it out. But what was missing was that personality type really struggles then to figure out the plan, right? The how to execute on it. So we had all these visionaries that are getting lit up with these ideas, and we're giving them all these strategies, and they're taking notes and they're excited, but the implementation isn't their gift. And when they try to bring it home to their team member, it's like the telephone game. A lot of things get lost in translation. So we thought, what if we open the door to bringing the right hands into the mastermind with them, where we as a team, especially, Mariana specifically, because she's our director of operations, trains up that right hand in the systems and the personality stuff that you're going to come in and support them in. And I'm working specifically with the visionaries alongside you. And then we teach them how to really leverage these personalities and how to work together. So can you talk a little bit about this idea of what we're infusing into our mastermind and how and why we think it's going to be insanely powerful, and it's kind of a missing link in the industry right now?
Yes. So one thing just about personality is each of the 4 distinct styles brings such value to a business, where if you're missing just one of them, it's going to open you up to some potential challenges. So this idea of the visionary and the right hand, you generally have the trend of the visionary being that fast-paced person, and your right hand being the more process reserved person. And together, they complement each other so well because you're having the differences of personality represented. So we each bring that unique perspective. We each bring a unique skill set. So together, you're working really well. Now, what also happens is there's a healthy tension between those two folks because they have very different personality styles. So they're each coming to the table with different values and a different intent. Your extroverted styles, they want to move fast and they want to get things done. Your introverted styles want to make sure they're getting the right things done, the accuracy, they've considered all the options. So that tension that's created, when we have that understanding of just knowing what is the natural tendencies between those two roles, we can then come in and give you the tools to communicate with one more effectively. So give you some actual strategies of how do you plan a meeting? How do you give feedback? How do you delegate to these folks based off of their personality? That way it's really resonating with them. And what are maybe some untapped potential that you have within these roles that you haven't looked at from a personality perspective? So the key thing that we are coming in is really giving the resources to make sure you have these people in the right roles, that they're responsible for the right tasks, but then that they have this gift of knowing how to communicate with one another. So they have this clear understanding of what the intent is of each style, what the value they're bringing into the table, so they appreciate it rather than being frustrated by it. And then you each have the tools you need to just hit the ground running.
I'm so excited for this because we've kind of casually started to infuse this concept in the most recent round of the mastermind that just ended. But now we have a framework where we can really take this to the next level for people. So again, if you're looking for something like this, if you're feeling like it's time to fast track my growth, I'm ready for my next level, I'm ready for the breakthrough, I want to lead my team well, I want to tap into my next level of leadership that leads into those opportunities that I can't quite access yet, or the levels of profitability I can't quite access yet, you're going to go to luminaryleadershipco.com/mastermind. And that's where you can apply and we can just have a conversation. It is an invite only program in the sense that you can apply, but we only then go through and invite the people that we feel like are going to be the right heartbeat for the program. But we really have a heart for service within this program. We love getting to know our entrepreneurs, and we're super excited to bring this next level of the right-hand visionary into our mastermind specifically. Okay, Katie, what excites you the most around what we're doing at Luminary, leveraging this, really diving in deep to the personality styles and what's coming for us as a company? Just share from your own personal perspective as someone who has proven to be so just passionate about the work that you're doing. Just like, what lights you up? What are you excited about what we're doing next? And give people a little sense of what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. So I'm just so excited because I do think this is such an untapped resource and communication tool in the online space. So seeing that we're at Luminary are making it available within this kind of backstage view of here's the tangible ways that we are actually using it. Here's the results that we're seeing. So I'm just excited. I have viewed this as a gift within my own business of really helping me relate to my team members, communicate with my team members, serve them and serve our clients. So I just love being able to share that with others. So excited that Luminary's incorporating this into serving all of our valued clients, because I've just seen the impact it can make firsthand. It cuts through frustration, it cuts through stress, and it really helps you just move through those roadblocks that we inevitably face in entrepreneurship and just really keep moving for those results and that impact.
It's so true. It's like it gives all of us just this sense of resilience and path forward versus losing time on the stressors and the roadblocks that can so often happen, whether it's in team or trying to increase sales or whatever it might be. So thank you so much, Katie, for everything, for how you've completely changed and transformed Luminary through this work. And I can just see it as such a powerhouse way that we're moving forward as a company, really serving people and being able to help them transform even deeper and bigger and tap into that potential that we're so passionate about. And like Katie mentioned, we do have some assessments, right, Katie, where they can take this assessment for themselves or for their team members. So we'll make sure that we link to that in the show notes if you're listening, in the description down if you're watching this. And Katie, I'm super pumped for everything that's coming. We can't give it all away, but I think we've given some good teasers of some stuff that's really going to support our people.
I love it. Thank you so much for having me. Grateful to be here. Grateful to be on the team.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie.
Thank you.
I hope today's episode gave you what you needed. If it spoke to you, please leave us a review and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next powerful episode. And I know it's so cliche to ask for a review. It always feels weird asking for one, but you guys, that makes a huge impact on the show. We read every one of them, and it helps us get incredible guests to serve you. Don't be shy. I love connecting with our listeners. You can follow along on Instagram when I'm on there at ElizHartke. And if there's a topic or a question or guest you have for us, reach out, share your thoughts. You can connect at marketing@luminaryleadershipco.com. And we do this for you. So the more you tell us, the more we can serve you. Thanks for spending some time with me. I really do appreciate you. Tune in next week to keep building your legacy and becoming the confident visionary leader you are meant to be.